You won't believe this. Dr. Damon might have just turned the married to medicine world upside down. In a moment no one saw coming, he allegedly put Dr. Heavenly's mental health out there for everyone to hear, leaving fans completely stunned. But the real shocker? It wasn't just what he said, it was who said it. Dr. Damon has always been the calm, supportive husband who never lets drama shake him. No matter how wild things got, he stood by Dr. Heavenly. But this time, the way it all went down was emotional, messy, and impossible to forget. He was her rock, her safe place, the one person who always had her back. But in one shocking moment, everything changed. It all started with rumors, people saying Dr. Damon had revealed something deeply personal about Dr. Heavenly during a heated argument. At first, no one believed it. It didn't sound like him. He was always the quiet, level-headed one. But then, the proof started coming out. Allegedly, during a private conversation that somehow got leaked, Dr. Damon said something that left everyone in complete shock. Dr. Damon didn't just mention it, he put it all out there. He talked about Dr. Heavenly's struggles with mental health, her ups and downs, her moments of anger and frustration, and how stress and anxiety weighed on her. But here's the real twist. It wasn't just what he said, but how he said it. His words weren't gentle or comforting. They were blunt, direct, and almost cold. No softening the blow, no sugarcoating, just the raw, unfiltered truth. He didn't hold back or try to protect her. It was like he was done hiding things, done keeping secrets, and done protecting her image. His voice wasn't just frustrated, it was tired, drained, and even a little bitter. Like a man who had been carrying too much for too long and finally couldn't take it anymore. That's when everything took a shocking turn. Fans weren't just shocked by what he said, they couldn't believe who it came from. This wasn't an enemy, a rival, or a jealous friend. This was her own husband. The person exposing her wasn't just anyone, it was the man who promised to love, honor, and protect her. Fans couldn't believe it. How could someone so close to her put something so personal out there for the world to see? This wasn't just breaking her trust, it was public humiliation. A moment that laid her deepest struggles bare and felt more like an attack than concern. But here's what made it even worse. It didn't feel like it came from love or worry. It felt like payback. Fans started talking, wondering if Dr. Damon was really just exposing Dr. Heavenly's struggles, or if there was something much deeper behind it. Fans started putting the pieces together. This wasn't just about mental health, this felt personal, like payback. They looked back at old arguments, past tensions, and moments that had been building for years. They remembered the times Dr. Heavenly went too far, embarrassed him in public, and pushed him past his limit. That's when it all started to make sense. Dr. Damon had been quietly taking it for years. The sharp words, the public jabs, the emotional outbursts. And now, it looked like this was his way of fighting back, taking control, and finally breaking free. But here's the craziest part. People started to wonder if there was even more to the story. Fans started questioning everything. Was Dr. Damon really the patient, loving husband he seemed to be? Or had he been quietly holding in his resentment, suffering in silence, just waiting for the right moment to finally hit back? People started looking at his past, searching for signs they might have missed. Hidden anger, bottled up frustration, unspoken pain. They realized he had spent years keeping quiet, avoiding confrontation, and playing the role of the perfect husband while secretly holding onto something much deeper. And now, with this revelation, everything started to make sense. This wasn't just about Dr. Heavenly's struggles, it also revealed Dr. Damon's hidden pain, his exhaustion, and the moment he finally hit his breaking point. But the real question was, why now? Why did Dr. Damon choose this moment to put everything out there? Was it a heated slip, or was it all part of a plan? Some fans didn't think it was random at all. They believed he did it to gain sympathy, change the narrative, or even protect his own image. By exposing her struggles, was he trying to make himself look like the real victim? Some thought Dr. Damon was playing the role of the patient husband who had suffered in silence for years. Others believed it was something else, that he wanted to humiliate Dr. Heavenly, to hurt her, to remind her that he had the power to tear down her image if he wanted to. But then, fans started looking at Dr. Heavenly differently. Was she really the victim, or had she pushed him too far? People started thinking about her past, her sharp tongue, her explosive arguments, her unfiltered opinions. They remembered how often she lashed out, not just at Dr. Damon, but at her co-stars too. She had belittled her friends, thrown jabs at her co-stars, and even disrespected her own husband on national TV. Fans started asking, had Dr. Damon been silently taking it all for too long? Was this his way of finally pushing back? And just like that, the story took a turn. People stopped seeing Dr. Damon as the villain and started seeing him as the victim. They believed he had been emotionally drained, manipulated, and pushed to his breaking point. To them, his revelation wasn't betrayal. It was a cry for help, a desperate attempt to finally be heard. Understanding and a desperate attempt to reclaim his dignity, they empathized with his pain, his frustration, and his emotional exhaustion. They argued that his actions were justified, that he had every right to speak his truth, and that Dr. Heavenly was the one who needed to take responsibility for her actions. But here's the most shocking twist: some fans turned against Dr. Heavenly, accusing her of hiding her struggles behind a mask of confidence, power, and humor. They argued that her mental health issues didn't excuse her hurtful words, her cruel behavior, or her manipulative tactics. They demanded accountability, apologies, and change. They weren't just sympathizing with Dr. Damon, they were holding Dr. Heavenly responsible for the emotional damage she had caused. They were no longer seeing her as a strong, independent woman. They were seeing her as a broken, vulnerable, and deeply flawed human being. This is how one shocking revelation turned the married to medicine world upside down, exposing hidden truths, challenging perceptions, and sparking emotional debates. It wasn't just about health, it was about power, pain, and perspective. It was about two people trapped in a complicated, painful, and emotional battle. It was about the masks they wore, the secrets they kept, and the truth that finally came out. And trust me, this is just the beginning. The story is far from over. You won't believe how Dr. Heavenly reacted when she found out that Dr. Damon had allegedly exposed her mental health issues. The moment the news reached her, everything changed. It was as if the ground beneath her feet had shifted and she was left standing in the aftermath of an emotional earthquake. Let me tell you, her reaction was raw, intense, and deeply emotional. This wasn't just about damage control or public image, it was about betrayal, heartbreak, and unimaginable pain. But here's the shocking part: her response wasn't what anyone expected. It was complex, layered, and left everyone speechless. At first, Dr. Heavenly was in complete denial. She couldn't believe that the man she loved, the man she trusted, and the man she had built her life with could do something so devastating. She replayed the words in her head over and over again, hoping she had misunderstood, hoping it was just another rumor. But as the evidence kept piling up, the truth became impossible to deny. And when the realization hit her, it was like a punch to the gut. Her heart sank, her hands trembled, and her mind spiraled into a chaotic storm of confusion, disbelief, and hurt. She felt betrayed, humiliated, and exposed. The man who was supposed to protect her had just shattered her world. But here's where it gets interesting. Dr. Heavenly didn't lash out in anger like everyone expected. She didn't call him out, confront him publicly, or seek revenge. Instead, she went silent. It was the kind of silence that spoke volumes. It was heavy, painful, and deeply emotional. Fans noticed that she stopped posting on social media, stopped engaging with her followers, and even stopped filming for the show. She retreated into her shell, isolating herself from the world. This wasn't the fiery, outspoken Dr. Heavenly. Everyone knew this was a broken, vulnerable woman who was struggling to process the unimaginable. Her silence was deafening, and it made people realize just how hurt she really was. Let me tell you, this is how it all played out behind closed doors. Dr. Heavenly was an emotional wreck. Sources close to her revealed that she was crying constantly, feeling overwhelmed by the betrayal and the public exposure of her private struggles. She felt vulnerable, judged, and completely alone. The thought of people discussing her mental health issues, dissecting her emotional state, and criticizing her every move was unbearable. She felt like her most intimate secrets had been stripped away, leaving her exposed and defenseless. The pain wasn't just from the betrayal itself, it was from the humiliation, the shame, and the loss of control over her own narrative. But here is the craziest part: despite her emotional turmoil, Dr. Heavenly refused to play the victim. She knew that the public was waiting for her to break down, to lash out, or to crumble under the pressure, but she wasn't going to give them that satisfaction. Even in her pain, she held her head high, maintaining a sense of dignity and strength. She was determined to reclaim her power, her voice, and her story. She wasn't going to let this revelation define her, destroy her, or break her. She was hurt, but she wasn't defeated. She was broken, but she wasn't shattered. She was determined to rise above the pain, to heal on her own terms, and to come back stronger than ever. This is where destiny took an unexpected turn. Dr. Heavenly decided to speak out, but she did it in a way that no one expected. Instead of addressing the allegations directly, she posted a cryptic message on social media. It was a short, powerful statement that read, "Pain is temporary, growth is forever." Those 6 words were enough to send the internet into a frenzy. People began analyzing every word, trying to decipher the hidden meaning behind her message. Was she acknowledging her pain? Was she hinting at forgiveness? Or was she throwing shade at Dr. Damon, subtly implying that she was growing beyond the pain he caused her? The ambiguity of her message left everyone guessing, keeping fans hooked and invested in her next move. But what makes this story different? It's the way Dr. Heavenly handled the situation with such poise, grace, and strength. She didn't break down, she didn't retaliate, and she didn't let her pain control her narrative. Instead, she chose to process her emotions privately, away from the public. As she surrounded herself with her closest friends, leaned on her faith, and focused on her own healing. She didn't allow herself to be reduced to a victim or a scandal. She chose to rise above the noise, to find her inner strength, and to turn her pain into power. This wasn't just about surviving a betrayal, it was about thriving in the aftermath. But here's the shocking part: Dr. Heavenly didn't just protect her own heart, she protected her family. Despite her anger and pain, she never once spoke ill of Dr. Damon in public. She refused to let their private issues become public drama, knowing that it would only hurt their children and damage their legacy. She was determined to protect her family's dignity, even if it meant swallowing her pride and staying silent. This wasn't just about her own healing, it was about protecting the people she loved, even if they were the ones who hurt her. But here is where it gets even more interesting. Fans were divided by her silence. Some praised her for her strength, her grace, and her dignity. They admired her for choosing healing over revenge and for protecting her family's privacy. They saw her silence as a sign of maturity, wisdom, and emotional intelligence. But others criticized her for not speaking out, for not defending herself, and for allowing Dr. Damon to control the narrative. They accused her of being weak, passive, and submissive. They argued that by staying silent, she was letting him get away with his betrayal and allowing him to dictate her story. This is how Dr. Heavenly's reaction turned into a powerful narrative of pain, healing, and strength. It wasn't just about a scandal, it was about resilience, love, and growth. It was about a woman who was broken but refused to be shattered. It was about a wife who was betrayed but chose to protect her family's dignity. It was about a human being who was hurting but chose to rise above the pain. And as the world watched her journey of healing, one thing became clear: Dr. Heavenly wasn't just surviving this storm, she was thriving through it. You won't believe the chaos that erupted among the cast of Married to Medicine after Dr. Damon allegedly exposed Dr. Heavenly's mental health issues. This revelation didn't just affect their marriage, it sent shockwaves through the entire cast, shaking the very foundation of their friendships and alliances. Let me tell you, the fallout was messy, emotional, and explosive. It wasn't just about loyalty or support, it was about trust, betrayal, and the painful reality of choosing sides. But here is the shocking part: the cast was divided in ways no one saw coming, and friendships were torn apart. At first, everyone was in shock. No one could believe that Dr. Damon, the man who always stayed above the drama, was at the center of the biggest scandal in Married to Medicine history. The cast members were stunned, confused, and unsure how to react. Some felt sympathy for Dr. Heavenly, heartbroken that her private struggles were exposed so publicly. Others were furious at Dr. Damon, accusing him of betrayal and cruelty. But here is where it gets interesting. Not everyone was on Dr. Heavenly's side. In fact, some of her closest friends started questioning their loyalty, their friendship, and even their own moral compass. This is how the drama started. The moment the news broke, the cast members started taking sides. Dr. Jackie was one of the first to reach out to Dr. Heavenly, offering her support, love, and understanding. She knew how painful it was to have your private life exposed, and she refused to abandon her friend during such a vulnerable time. But Dr. Simone wasn't so Forgiving, she was furious at Dr. Damon not just for exposing Dr. Heavenly's struggles, but for humiliating her so publicly she felt that he crossed a line, betraying his wife's trust and violating her privacy. She was vocal, emotional, and unfiltered in her criticism of Dr. Damon, calling him out for his actions and demanding accountability. But what makes this story different, it's the fact that not everyone was rallying behind Dr. Heavenly. Some cast members couldn't forget the hurtful things she had said to them in the past, the cruel comments she made, and the emotional wounds she inflicted. Dr. Contessa, in particular, found herself torn. Things got even more intense when Toya spoke up. She didn't hold back, publicly calling out Dr. Damon for betraying Dr. Heavenly. Toya accused him of using her struggles to control the story. To her, it wasn't about revealing the truth, it was about revenge, humiliating his wife in front of everyone. Toya wasn't holding anything back. She saw Dr. Damon's actions as cruel and manipulative. He was trying to make himself the victim. Her words were sharp, honest, and unapologetic. She refused to play nice or hide her feelings. She was angry, hurt, and ready to fight for what she believed was right. What started as a fight over Dr. Heavenly's struggles and Dr. Damon's betrayal turned into an emotional battle about loyalty, morality, and friendship. It wasn't just about the drama, it was about trust, forgiveness, and the painful truth of what happens when those things are broken. Choosing sides, it was about friendships that were tested, alliances that were broken, and emotional wounds that were reopened. It was about people who were forced to confront their own beliefs, their own pain, and their own moral compass. And as the lines were drawn, the cast was divided in ways no one saw coming. But here is the most shocking twist: the drama wasn't just on screen. Behind the scenes, friendships were crumbling, alliances were shifting, and trust was shattered. Cast members were questioning each other's loyalty. Arguments, heated confrontations, and tearful confessions were happening behind closed doors, leaving the cast feeling vulnerable, hurt, and confused. The fallout wasn't just about one scandal, it was about the emotional unraveling of a close-knit group of friends. This is how one revelation turned the Married to Medicine cast against each other, creating emotional chaos, moral dilemmas, and heartbreaking betrayals. It wasn't just about loyalty, it was about trust, truth, and the painful cost of being honest. Friendships were shattered, alliances were tested, and emotional wounds were exposed. As the cast tried to pick up the pieces, one thing was clear: nothing would ever be the same between them again. Then, when the news broke about Dr. Damon allegedly exposing Dr. Heavenly's mental health issues, the internet went crazy. Social media was flooded with comments, opinions, and reactions from everywhere. Debates sparked, fans were torn, and emotions were all over the place. The drama didn't stay on TV, it spilled into real life. The reactions were intense, emotional, and totally explosive. But here's the real shock: no one saw how big the backlash would be. It wasn't just a scandal, it became a public reckoning, and suddenly, everyone had an opinion.